Welcome to the Redvee TV preview show, supported by A-Star Recruitment for the 2020 season, as we look ahead to St Helens round 15 clash against the Wakefield Trinity team. I nearly called them Wildcats again, Kev. I've got a habit of doing on these videos. So this is part one. This is the original. Next week we will go on to the sequel, which won't be quite as good.
Can we not just reuse this?
Quite possibly. There's no chance of your hair growing any longer in the next week.
Not a chance.
So, same top, same background with teardrops.org.uk for your charity donations, and we will be good to go.
Yes, that's fine with me. We might just have to dub in any squad changes, but we'll sort that out.
Yeah, hopefully we'll stay fully fit and we'll just keep the same 21 man. It's a very odd situation playing the same team 2 weeks running in a very, very odd season. And I'm not ashamed to admit that at this moment in time, my enthusiasm for this season is currently at rock bottom.
Yeah, somebody got in touch and we mentioned it, I think it was in the last video or the last preview show, saying it looked like the enthusiasm was draining out of us pretty quickly. It's an unfortunate time in the world, in all of our lives, that it is. It's a struggle getting up for it. We've just beaten Wigan 2-0, and there was no kind of fanfare after it because you're not at the games. You're not we're not doing these videos together. We're not in the same place. We're not doing them straight after games, whether it's coming out of the Totally Wicked, whether it's coming out of Bellevue or whatever they call Wakefield's ground these days. It is difficult because watching it on TV just isn't the same.
And I think that's it for me. We are a spectator sport, and being sat at home, I don't want to be watching games on TV. You may as well, I don't know, I feel like a cop-out watching my team win in my armchair.
Oh, like clockwork then. Send me watch by them jibes.
Hey, listen, my team's top of the league in both leagues, but it's not right. It doesn't feel real.
And that's it. I mean, you see the petition for fans to be let back into football stadiums, and you'd hope that would trickle down to rugby league as well. We're in the same kind of boat that definitely the lower league football clubs are in, and hopefully if they start letting people into grounds to watch football, they'll do the same with rugby. Because it seems weird that they're advertising that you can go watch a game on the cinema, go and watch the football there, but you can't go into a ground outside. And clubs have gone through this. I know Brighton did it in pre-season where they did test events. Clubs are ready for this. Saints have been ready for this for ages. I'm sure all the others have. It'll be differing attendances and it'll probably only be home fans allowed in, but it's about time that it was looked at because it just doesn't make sense that you can, I don't know, jump on the bus with a load of strangers and be at close quarters. You could go to a pub with a load of strangers, be at close quarters. I know you're not meant to be, but you're still going to be in the same pub with people, even if they're not in your bubble. You're still going to be using the same bar, the same toilets, whatever. It just doesn't make sense to me at the minute why they're not looking closely at letting stadiums be at least occupied by some fans. And I know they mentioned the mingling before the game and saying that that's what they were worried about. You've got to allow fans to do the right thing and give themselves the opportunity to show they can be trusted. And I'm sure fans would do exactly that.
And that's the thing for me. I think everybody who watches our videos know that we were fully supportive of all the health measures put in place for the pandemic. But I think at this moment in time, you're right, it's the mixed messages that are coming out. Why is it safe to do, or supposedly safe to go to the Royal Albert Hall and sit in a concert hall indoors with so many thousand people, but it's then not safe to sit socially distanced in a pre-designated seat, and that's not safe. I can completely understand them not wanting to maybe open terraces, where you can't control where people are. Yeah. But in terms of a stadium with pre-allocated seats, you could have certain blocks come into the ground at a certain time. You could have stewards directing people when to leave in a certain order. It would be manageable, and I completely see where that petition is now coming from. I was listening to, I think, one of the lower league football teams talk this evening, and they basically said to be able to keep going, 25% in the ground at the moment in time would be enough to cover their overheads. But if it doesn't happen, I think it's going to have a long-term effect. Obviously, you're going to have a short-term impact with clubs going out of business, but in the long term, you're going to get fans drifting away from the sport. People are going to get so used to not going to games, then it becomes a norm, and then trying to get them back in and trying to get that custom back is going to be difficult. I think we've seen that maybe with the film industry. The cinemas was closed for that long, that now they reopened, and obviously, yes, a lot of film releases were delayed, but people just weren't coming back, were they? And that's going to essentially, that's forced Cineworld this week to close down for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, and that's it. And listen, clubs will be aware, whether it be lower league, whether it be rugby clubs, will be aware of difficulties such as like logistical difficulties, people needing to go to the toilet, people needing to queue up at kiosks. And they'll have all that sorted, so that I don't think there's going to be much to worry about there, because they'll already have every eventuality kind of mapped out. And as you say, it's just the mixed messages. I think what St. Ul's just shy of 18,000. If you've got 1,000 in there just to test and spread them over the north and south stands, surely people are going to be spread out enough and be able to use different blocks, different toilets, different... even if you had a couple on the concourse where you've got just like, they're just doing hot water and you can have a tea and a coffee and a soft drink and that's it. They're not going to do a lot. Listen, as you say, it's just mixed messages. Hopefully there will be a safe way, if not for us all to go back into the stadium straight away, at least for some people to start getting that feeling of going back into the stadium.
I think more than ever, with the R rate going up, I think it shows the importance of people needing to follow the rules. Although I know how mixed some of the messages can be, but wearing a face mask, washing your hands, keeping a safe distance, following those household bubbles, because unfortunately, those are the rules that have been put in place to keep us safe, and that's the only thing that's going to change things. It worked when we last had a lockdown. It brought the R rate down, and we just need to get back to that, and we can get back to enjoying the things that we love.
Yeah, well, that's it. We don't necessarily need another lockdown. We just need common sense to prevail. Hopefully people can kind of just get on board with that. If people get on board with it now, hopefully this won't keep going on and on and on, and we'll either get a vaccine, learn to live with it, whatever the future holds for us, it'll be sorted. But we just need people to kind of stick to the rules for now. Right,
Kev, people might have been bored by now, us moaning, but we have got a game this week. If I can get the screen share to work, I will show you a squad.
Well, I'll tell you the only change to the squad then, and it's the return of Tommy Makinson in place of Matty Costello. Now, Christian Wolf's been in the local media, and he's been saying Makinson's been training really well, and still looks sharp, and has done a lot of good work with the strength and conditioning that he wouldn't have probably been able to do if he'd have still been playing. So listen, nobody wanted him to have 5 weeks off. Nobody wanted him to commit the offence that he did on the field. But it's done now. And we'll be a better team for having Tommy Makinson in it.
Not getting the screen sharing working. It's not having it tonight.
Fair enough.
But yeah, Tommy Makinson, the only man back in. Christian Wolf was talking this week about the difficulty in probably getting the youngsters the game time, but he said they will get it between now and the end of the season. Lewis Dodd will get his chance in the halves at some point. Aaron Smith will get his a run from the start at 9, obviously probably to help James Roby to rest up. It's good to hear that basically the plan is there and it's in place, and he's probably mapped out the next 7-8 games until the end of the year about what we need to do.
Yeah, he said he's got a plan in place, but he's not sharing it with the players yet because he just wants them concentrating on this week. He said about Lewis Dodd in the halves, can almost see him playing next week against Wakefield and potentially starting next week against Wakefield. It's just with the way that he said when he gets his shots in a week or 2 weeks or whenever that might be. Listen, it could just be a figure of speech from him, but I get the feeling that if we go well against Wakefield, which, as you said before we started filming, they've lost 8 on the bounce. If we go well against them, then it's a good chance to throw Lewis Dodd in from the start. And he was on about him being our dominant halfback. That's good to hear. I like that. I like the fact that he's got the confidence in Dodd that when he comes in, he can turn around and say, listen, you'll be calling the plays. You'll be saying when we're going to kick, when we're going to run, where we're going to run. And Lewis Dodd, listen, he's been, 18th man for weeks and weeks and weeks. He got his chance. And again, as Wolf said, he's taken the nerves of making his debut off him by throwing him in and getting him through a lot of work at hooker. No, I think it's a good sign. And as you say, like the left centre position is probably the only one of the backs that we're now struggling with, as in not got first choice. But the struggle is, do you play Josh Sim there or do you play Jack Wellesby there? Now, first choice has got to be Josh Sim because he's a centre. But will Josh Sim play every game, or will they do the right thing by protecting him as the season goes on and potentially play Jack Wellesby there and give him a couple of games to get a partnership going, but also protect him because they are still young lads?
Is it potentially a shootout between the two of them? Do you say, listen, lads, you're probably going to get equal game time. Whoever performs best will be centre come playoff time?
I don't even think they'll look that far into the distance. I think they'll just look one game at a time and turn around and say, well, you know what, you've got the shirt this week, keep hold of it. And then when they need a rest, they'll take them out and see what goes on, put the other one in there and just give them game time, just keep them both going. That'll be part of the rotation that will have to happen, because you don't want to be playing a young centre there week in, week out, having him absolutely battered when there's no need to, when you have got players who can step in. We were just talking about Matty Costello going on. I know there's the rumours that he's signed for Salford. I don't know if it's true, if it's come out that he has or whatever. He seems to be the one who's further down the pecking order. It might be that he needs to step in as well and take a couple of games just when they do start coming through and we're doing it tough going, is it Thursday, Sunday we go. It might be that we end up with a couple of little knocks that we don't have to risk because we've got the likes of Costello to step in there.
Does anybody know where Joseph Paulo is?
No, we got tweeted that, and I don't know. It's never mentioned.
He seems to completely off the radar, doesn't he? And I don't know. You have to suspect that he may not play again for us. He's that far down the pecking order.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised with that. As I say, I think everybody's got the kind of part to play in this, whether it's a good couple of games or whether it's just dipping in here and there. But with him not being in the 21-man squad, that's, I don't know, there's no news coming out about him as well, which is a little bit strange.
He'll play now. He'll play next week now.
Yeah, play at 6. But that's it. Because we're not getting news about him, it obviously leads to this type of speculation where it's like, what is going on?
Do you feel sorry for the bloke a little bit? I know he's still picking up his wage, but given obviously the current circumstances, to be fair, he's not causing any bother, not rocking the boat. He's obviously being professional. I don't know. It must be hard.
Yeah, especially not being in a completely different country as well. Yeah. That he's come over here and not probably surrounded by a load of friends and family. I mean, he will have friends over here, but not being surrounded by the people that he kind of knows really, really well. Then, yeah, there's some sympathy there for him. I mean, you shouldn't just pick a team to be sympathetic because you've signed someone from overseas. But yeah, as I say, it just surprises me that he's not kind of even in the 21-man squad.
Yeah, it's just sad. Obviously, he's over here to enjoy the cosmopolitan experience of living in St Helens. The current circumstances, the lockdown, he's not able to enjoy those long summer evening walks along the hotties, the vibrant town centre. Go and pick up a steak bake whenever you want it. It's tough.
It is not been able to go into Wizard for whatever random things Wizard sell these days. No, that's it. As I say, you can't pick your team.
Sorry, Kev. Is Wizard still going? I love Wizard.
I think so. I think
it's years since I've been into the town centre properly.
Well, there you go. You should have an in. Buy local, be local, or whatever.
Yeah.
No, that's it. You can't pick a team on just the fact that you've brought him over here and are paying a wage. You've got to pick the team that you think will do the business for you. There is some sympathy there, but listen, if the coach thinks that he's not the right man for the 17 or 21-man squad, I'm afraid you've got to go with the coach's call, haven't you? You can't just turn around and say, well, he's an overseas player getting paid a decent wage, so he needs to be in there. You pick the right team for it.
Now, Kev, if we think it's bad being a Saints fan at this moment in time with our lack of enthusiasm for the season currently, how must it feel to be a Wakefield fan? You're currently bottom of the pile. You've lost 8 on the bounce, but there's no prospect of even relegation. So you're not even in a relegation battle to essentially look forward to and hope you can dig yourselves out of it. You're literally just playing for the sake of playing at this moment in time.
We keep using these two words, contractual obligation. I feel that that's what Wakefield are doing at the minute. As you say, they're safe. They're not going to get relegated. They just need to keep going. And when I say keep going, almost keep going as a going concern, as a business, as a rugby club. So, yeah, you'd have, if you're a Wakefield fan after losing 8 on the bounce, you've got Saints the next 2 weeks. Listen, we know anything can happen in rugby.
Saints will not lose either of the next 2 games.
No, but you know,
categorically,
anything
if Saints lose to Wakefield in the next 2 weeks, I will appear on this video in a Wigan shirt.
Oh dear. I might get on the phone to some Saints lads and just throw it. No, but you wouldn't be looking for.
I've done it, haven't I?
Yeah, you've done it. After 8 weeks of being beaten, or 8 games of being beaten, to have Saints the next 2 weeks, you wouldn't be looking forward to it as a Wakefield fan. That's it. They've had a couple.
Eddie Batty's back.
Well, Eddie Batty is back. Yeah, they've Bill Tupu is playing. Tony Gigo's not in there. Joe Westerman. They're the David 3 biggest names. David Fafita's in.
Does he agree to be the monitor?
He must have, yeah. Or else he wouldn't be in, would he? Max Jowett, who's a decent little fullback.
Got Croft in.
Listen, they've are you just naming the? Have you got the list up there as well?
You must have read the same little preview I've read.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's it. Listen, they've got some good players, Wakefield, but for some reason it's just not going for them at the minute. No. Whether it is just because they're going through the motions and trying to get to the end of the year, and that's it. But you wouldn't necessarily, if this was a proper Super League season and they had this run of form, I'd back Toronto to be winning games by now and picking up points here and there. Wakefield would be in serious trouble.
Do you know the other thing that makes me not really bothered at the moment? Not bothered, but the lack of enthusiasm. The fact that the game's kicking off at 5:30.
Yeah.
It feels like when you watch the footy and your team's in the Europa League and it's that 6 o'clock kickoff and nobody gets to see it properly because you're all still in work. And it's like, if you can't see it properly, is it really happening?
Well, listen, let's hope we don't get a 2:30 on a Thursday or whatever then.
Yeah, at least we're on the telly is the main thing.
Yeah.
So the fans can see it. But do you know what, Kev? Do you know what? The only thing we're missing on this video to make this better, what we're going to have to get? We're going to have to get that 3-year-old over-enthusiastic toddler back. I don't know whether you've seen any of the rugby league forums on Facebook, but our friend Kevin Cunningham,
Not me.
not you, Kevin Cunningham, has done his best to try and just wind up Warrington and Wigan fans because they lost the semi-finals, despite the fact that Warrington blitzed us off a couple of weeks before. And I feel like, oh, Kev, don't do it to yourself. But no, you sit back and watch the car crash happen. It's great.
I love Kev Cunningham's enthusiasm. Listen,
I do. I wish I could be like that in life.
Yeah, listen, when we need him, he puts his hand up and he's there for us. Or even if you've got to pick him up off the floor of Wembley because he's had one too many lager shandies. No, good on him.
He's reliable. He is Redvee's very own Joseph Paolo. He disappears for weeks on end, but he'll be there and he'll be reliable when called upon. There you go. He's Redvee's Joseph Paolo.
Yes.
Do you know what?
Yeah.
I hope Joseph Paolo does get a few games before the end of the season, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, listen, everybody should have their part to play in this. And we have got, as I've said it before, we've got a couple of older members of our squad in the forwards. And it may need a little bit of a reshuffle. And listen, he'll still have his part to play as long as he's training well and he's not rocking the boat. I can see him being involved in a game or two. Obviously, now I've just done it as well, and we'll never see him in a Saints shirt again. But I think he will be involved in a game or two.
Is he off the nuddy run at the end of the year? Yeah, that's what I'm just trying to have a look at.
I've no idea.
Because it could be cold come December. It's not a mid-October nuddy run this year, lads. You better get your scoring. I'll tell you one thing. On the Super League statistics, every week for the last 6 months, we keep getting James Roby is 2 tries away from 100 in Super League or Saints shirt. And you think, is it ever going to happen this week? Mark it.
Do you reckon?
Yeah. Now I've said it, he'll definitely do it.
Both tries?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I can't find Joseph Paolo, I'm sorry.
No one can find Joseph Paolo. That's why he's not in the 21-man squad.
I found him on the Heritage site. Let's see. Has he scored this season? No.
Oh.
He scored a grand total of 1 try, 8th of August last year against Warrington. So, there you go. If nothing else, give him a game for that.
Yes. Get him over the line.
I think we've milked this video as much as we possibly can, Kev.
I look forward to the even worse quality one we put out next week.
Yeah.
Before Wakefield again.
If you think the sequel in terms of matches are bad, just wait till you see next week's preview.
Well, at least you can read Phil Jones's preview on the site anyway, because he's done one. It even includes the weather forecast. So that's probably rain. Yeah, rain. So that's probably that might be a better option for you. Just go read that.
I'd read Phil's preview over watching this any day. But you know what, Kev?
It's too late now because you're at the end.
The enthusiasm is back.
It is.
You know what? If nothing else, at least we're honest.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we will catch you on Friday evening for an instant fan reaction, assuming we've both been able to see the game. Catch you soon.